Established in the year 2000, the Critical Ecosystem Partnership Fund (CEPF) is a joint initiative of l'Agence Française de Développement, Conservation International, the European Union, the Global Environment Facility, the Government of Japan, and the World Bank. CEPF brings together global institutional donors and non-governmental organizations working in the world's biodiversity hotspots to protect the biological diversity humanity depends on. CEPF empowers non-governmental organizations, indigenous groups, universities, and private enterprises to protect the world's biodiversity hotspots.
From 2016 until 2022, we made an investment in the form of grants to benefit the civil society organizations in the biodiversity hotspot of the Guinean forest of West Africa. So the Guinean forest hotspot is a large hotspot with many countries because it runs from Sierra Leone to Cameroon. So workshops had to be organized in each of these countries to make sure that we could gather the feedback from these different stakeholders from the different countries. And then after that, the organization that was doing this consultation then created and amalgamated all this information and came up with what we call the ecosystem profile.
CEPF has so far supported civil society organizations in the Guinean forests of West Africa hotspot during 3 phases. The first 2 phases focused exclusively on the Upper Guinean forests hotspot, with $6.2 million disbursed through 72 grants from 2001 to 2006, and then with $2.1 million for another 5 grants as a consolidation phase from 2008 to 2012. The CEPF's Donor Council approved a third investment phase, this time for the entire hotspot to extend from 2016 to 2021 with $9 million. This was later increased to $10.1 million in 2018 and the investment extended to 2022. A total of 79 grants were awarded to 65 civil society organizations during this phase. The Guinean forests of West Africa is a unique but threatened biodiversity hotspot. Forests have been and continue to be cleared or degraded for subsistence agriculture and commercial crops as well as for urban expansion, industry and infrastructure. Other threats include unsustainable logging and fishing, hunting and trading of bushmeat, industrial and artisanal mining, pollution, and climate change. To help mitigate these threats, CEPF in 2016 entrusted BirdLife International to be the dedicated regional implementation team to provide strategic leadership for the CEPF investment in the hotspot.
BirdLife International is a global family of over 115 national partners covering all continents, landscapes and seascapes. We take a critical look at the ways in which we consume our natural resources and the choices we make in areas such as finance, government policy, land and sea use. In this way, we can tackle effectively the underlying causes of the destruction of our planet, change our behavior and choices to ensure our children's and grandchildren's future. BirdLife was well positioned to work with CEPF as the regional implementation team to deliver on the action plan as detailed in the ecosystem profile.
The ecosystem profile outlines CEPF investment strategies which are focused on empowering local communities, mainstreaming biodiversity conservation, safeguarding priority globally threatened species, and building capacity of civil society organizations, including indigenous peoples, women, and youth groups.
The Aqualight is a community-based organization working with the forest communities of Afi Enclave in Cross River State, Nigeria. Our program was to restore the degraded Afi Mountain Wildlife Sanctuary, which was ravaged by erosion in 2012.
So The area you are now, we are in the secondary school site that was submerged by the landslide that happened 2012.
The community were displaced, they lost a lot of valuables, and most importantly, the natural resources base which they depend on was destroyed.
With the support from CEPF and BirdLife International, this project they have supported this project a lot on climate smart agriculture. They have trained us. If you go on the side there, we have the propagator. If you want to propagate the salad by stem cutting, they have trained us how we can propagate the salad. I personally have my own salad.
So this salad don't they help me for the training where they give me. Before I've been the plug for only cooking, but now don't they help me to sell and get money to support other plumbing in my house.
So when they came, they gave us enough studies about how those things are very helpful. So we are now having that knowledge. We now know how to do garden. We now have things around our village. Before, there were nothing like a garden in the village. Goats used to go around compound, destroying, eating anyhow. So we don't know the value of planting anything around our environment. So when the Biakwala came, they taught us and they also gave us an idea to put all these bylaws so that they will be able to help us in our community so that we will know how to plant. We'll begin to plant things in our environment.
And we also have the land use plant ready on the ground, which they have been guided. The site for relocations, the site for preservations where nobody go there. All these places have been mapped up. In case of subsequent thing happen, we know where to forge out.
We praise the law, no more logging. And especially with the conjunction of the Biakwa Light. In fact, when the Biakwa Light came, I embraced the Biakwa Light. I was interested, so serious. In fact, the way I worked, they know that I was working, and that is why I was given this award as a forest restoration champion.
In Sierra Leone, the Conservation Society of Sierra Leone, CSSL, focused on conserving the Yauri Bay ecosystem in Sierra Leone's coastal corridor.
Yauri Bay is one of the marine protected areas in Sierra Leone, which was designated by the government of Sierra Leone through the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. But since its designation, there has been limited law enforcement that will enhance the protection of Yauri Bay. Yauri Bay is one of the most important wetlands in Sierra Leone, taking into cognizance its biodiversity nature, taking into cognizance the way it supports Sierra Leone in terms of fish production, because most of the fishes we get in the country come from the Yauri Bay. So with the CEPF funded grant, some of the benefits that Conservation Society of Sierra Leone gained from that project, one is increasing our collaboration, because over the years we have been working with other partners, but the CEPF reinforced and strengthened our collaboration with other relevant MDAs, other relevant CSOs who are part and parcel of protecting the environment, and even the community stakeholders. Through what? We established what we call the YASWOG, which is the Yauri Bay Ramsar Site Working Group. The YASWOG was constituted in order to serve as a decision-making body. The YASWOG comprises of what? The relevant ministry departments and agencies, like for example NPAA, which is the National Protected Area Authority. We have the MOE, which is the Ministry of Environment. We have the EPA. We have other civil society organizations who are part of the Yauri Bay Ramsar Site Working Group. With the CEPF funded grant, we made sure that yes, we reviewed all the legal laws that are pertinent to the protection of the environment. Now the NPAA have reviewed their act and they have included what we now term as wetland protection. So when we worked with other the communities also, we said, okay, we want to maximize the protection of Yauri Bay. So what do we need to do? We have to engage these community stakeholders and say, yes, you know that your actions are also contributing to the deterioration of the bay. We collaborated and we had what we call our community bylaws. most of the laws they had were reviewed. And some of the places where there were no bylaws, we also went further to establish new bylaws.
Being one of the Eco Guard and beneficiary for this particular project in our Tumbo community. The CEPF project, we get to know about that particular project through the implementing partner when the CSSSL. We then come in our community one day and therefore invite the stakeholders them and get mobilization with them, able for talk with them and try to tell them something about it Yoruba and the important way in and also what is inside the Yoruba the living things.
We have also developed a 5-year detailed management plan with a financial plan in the management plan. And also the entire project is also seeking for the designation of Yoruba as a Ramsar site. So with the CEPF grant, we have done as much as we could. We have collected a lot of information, we have done the socio-economic, the biodiversity, and we have started the Ramsar designation process, wherein we have compiled information on the offline form. We have filled the offline form for the Ramsar designation process. And we have also engaged the relevant institution, that is the NPAA, who can champion now or who can lead the process of designating the Ramsar site or the designation of Yoruba as a Ramsar site.
Development Concern DEFCON worked with Isai community in Cross River State, Nigeria, to help organize the community to develop clear visions and objectives for forest governance, including biodiversity conservation. Isai has produced a community land use plan, including forest management plan, with bylaws to strengthen and sustain the protection of 20,000 hectares of community forests. In Sao Tome and Principe, the project implemented the Associate Sao Programa Tatu Mwala Kandia Women Light, promoting women's empowerment towards environmental conservation in Sao Tome Island. This contributed to the eradication of illegal networks for the commercialization of endangered and protected species such as sea turtles in Sao Tome Island. In Ghana, Man and Nature implemented a project that demonstrated how economic development can boost community-based trans-border conservation.
The project that we are running is being co-funded by CEPF, AFD and other development partners. On the component that CEPF supports, as a broad program, it has 3 different strategic objectives. The first objective is to improve the socioeconomic development sector of the areas that we work, and then to improve biodiversity conservation. And then we have a third component that looks at capitalization, which focuses more on capacity building for civil society organization and also lessons learned, sharing of information, and how best we can improve the practices within the institutions and the project that we work on. Working with CEPF has been very great. I think the funding support from CEPF has really enabled us to implement a transboundary project between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, supporting 2 institutions, local institutions called Primate Conservation Action, West African Primate Conservation Action, which focuses more on the preservation of 3 endangered primate species. And then we also work with CSRS, which is based in Cote d'Ivoire. Within this program, we support community-based natural resource management organizations called CRIMES in Ghana. And what we have done with the CEPF funding is to set up the governance, improve or strengthen the governance structures of this community-based organization, provide capacity building for farmers and processor groups, and also set up patrol teams, so ecological monitors, which comes from the community. We also add value to the resources that the local people are cultivating. So in the area where we have had the CEPF funding, which is at the
southwestern part of Ghana, the boundary between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. We support organic cassava, we support organic cocoa, and then organic virgin coconut oil production.
Arocha Ghana worked on the project, protecting Atewa critical ecosystem through biodiversity assessments and participatory monitoring.
The CEPF project was a timely one for us because we are currently having an advocacy to save the forest from bauxite mining and to make it a national park. And so the CEPF project came to help us to gather more evidence to support our advocacy case. We've been doing this in a participatory manner, working with communities and also the Forestry Commission to gather information using smart tools. So currently we are using the Spatial Monitoring and Application Reporting Tool, which collects data on both illegal activities and also biodiversity. This is providing us with information to know where the illegal hotspots are. It also provides real-time response because the system allows us to get alerts, which quickens the response time of the Forestry Commission to be able to arrest people. And I'm happy to say that since we deployed the tool just about a month ago, we've been able to arrest 3 people that were logging in the forest. And because of the evidence that we've been able to gather, they were immediately prosecuted.
And through the CEPF, we've been able to do a lot of assessments to upgrade the biodiversity status of the Atewa Rainforest Reserve. Most recently, we embarked on an assessment to upgrade the Atewa Forest on its KBA status. Currently, it is a legacy KBA, and is still in the process of becoming a full KBA.
Also in Nigeria, the Wildlife Conservation Society, WCS, focused on promoting alternative sustainable livelihood for local farmers in the Afi Mountain Wildlife Sanctuary, Mbe Mountains, and the Okwango division of Cross River National Park in Nigeria. The project contributed towards improving cocoa and bush mango agroforestry practices in these landscapes. The project helped to increase the income of local farmers and women while reducing rates of deforestation of the Cross River gorilla habitat. African Research Association Development in Nigeria, ARADIN, advocated for a more sustainable forest use practices through promoting integrated traditional forest management and biodiversity conservation system and sustainable livelihoods options suitable to the temperate climatic condition of the Obudu Plateau. ARADIN and its project partner OPSCN worked in 15 communities to protect the last remnant of good forests in the community-owned areas and supported the restoration of the most degraded zones. The project also provided 400 firewood economy cook stoves to 400 households. This resulted in reduction of indoor air pollution from smoke and reduction of firewood consumption by 15 kilograms per day, thereby reducing pressure on the forest. In the mangrove and forest communities in Akpabuyo local government area of Cross River State, OPSCN carried out a project building capacity and sustainable network of women for conservation.
Set out to empower women organizations in Akpabuyo in Cross River State. And the CPF fund has allowed us to achieve that, right? And we've done livelihood stuff for the ladies.
The establishment of this network of women for conservation has afforded 158 women from the Esuk Mbat, Akwa Esuk, Eyamba and Ikong Nkokanie communities the opportunity to interact and learn from each other on issues that concern conservation, which has resulted in more coordination among the women and their involvement in decision-making with respect to natural resource management. The project also installed 2 semi-mechanized cassava processing units one at Esukmbat and the other at Ikong Nkokania.
$50 kg. Asira mi di usene yawo urwati. Nden gira mi mege meni nam karedo. Kem bantu seniba. Nyoru ki kon bogori waro mfan. Ndi nam se waro mfane mi bam fane mi nto. Nsang mene yanga uranga yambo kumboga ba ufena kwa song.
Looking back on the work we've done over the past 6 years, the mainstay for me is the lives that were impacted through the livelihood initiatives implemented, putting a smile on their faces while conserving our natural resources and living in harmony with nature was the hallmark, or should I say the bedrock of the 6 years for me and the team. The REIT will want to join her voice to the rest of the beneficiaries as we celebrate our wins to say thank you to the donors for the support and ask for continued support as there is still more to be done in this landscape.